If you're living on a single income, it can be a lot more difficult when it comes to saving and when it comes to planning. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at some frugal strategies to really set and really expand that dollar a little bit further. When you don't have a second income, when you're single income, if you only have one, there's no side hustle, there is nothing. One single income can be incredibly stressful when it comes to the financial. And I'm hoping to make it a little bit easier with our first one, creating a detailed budget. Now, as a financial counselor, this is something that I do on a regular basis. This is actually something that I did today. It is the means to financial success. If you know exactly where every single dollar is being used, it's a game changer. You know what you're cutting back on. You know, tracking every single dollar that is being spent. And for the beginning, it might be a little bit difficult. It might be a little bit time consuming, but you can understand where you can cut back and knowing systematically on a monthly basis where your budget sits. Maintaining a well-structured budget can make it a lot easier to survive if you're on a single income or even on a low income, knowing exactly where it is. Now, second one in here, building an emergency fund. This is one of the absolute crucial things that keep people from living paycheck to paycheck if you are on a single income. Now, when we start looking at 3 to 6 months of savings, that is exactly what you want. You want to make sure that if something happens for the next 3 to 6 months, you know financially you're going to be all set. Your rent's going to be paid, the car's going to be paid, your mortgage is going to be paid, everything is going to be paid. And if something unexpected really does happen, and trust me, there will be a point in your life where something unexpected does happen. You have that emergency fund to fall back on. You can cover that expense and then start building that emergency fund right back up. Now, when it comes to being frugal, canceling subscriptions, we stress about this. When it comes to unused streaming services, gym memberships, subscription boxes, car washes, everybody is looking for $6, $10, $12, $15 of your paycheck. That adds up. When you start getting 3, 5, 7 subscription services, it takes a big chunk out of your paycheck. If you're paying interest on a mortgage, if you're paying interest on a vehicle, interest on credit cards, student loans, everything is taking a bite of your paycheck. And when you're losing that paycheck, you are essentially working to pay the interest for what you already owe the bank. And I do not like doing that at all. Now, the average consumer, according to C+R research, is saying $219 per month is the subscription cost of the average American, which to me is kind of crazy. Now, the next one we look at is shopping smart, meal planning, and creating that checklist. For me, we do this in my family every single week. When I go to the grocery store, we have a list that we actually create on Google. Buying in bulk. A lot of things are a lot cheaper if you're using Sam's Club, if you're going to Costco, if you're going to BJ's, a couple other places. When you start looking at bulk buying, I do not buy things. And if you are, a single individual, I buy non-perishables. When we start thinking of Kleenex, toilet paper, when you look at paper towel, when you look at some of the non-perishable goods, it makes a big difference if you're buying these in bulk and planning what your meals are going to be. For me personally, we go shopping once a week, usually on Sunday. We plan for the entire week. We know exactly what we're going to have and what we're going to need to make sure that we're not overspending. Now, when it comes to overspending, housing costs, this is the largest expense that a majority of families are going to have, whether it's a mortgage, whether it's a rental, regardless of what it is, this is the biggest cost that you're going to see. Consider downsizing to a smaller home, allowing you to keep a lot more of your budget, looking at refinancing your mortgages when rates get a little bit better, and looking for an affordable area. It's kind of crazy. Over 30 to 40% of income for US consumers is automatically put into housing. Think about that for a minute. If you're putting 30 to 40% of your income in its entirety into just a housing expense, that doesn't leave much of a paycheck left for the rest of the month and to cover other bills that you have. And of course, using cash instead of credit cards. If you are old school like me and you've used cash in the past, credit cards, you spend more money. Even when you look at using a credit card versus a debit card, credit card users spend about 18% more than traditional debit cards. Debit cards are linked to checking account. Checking accounts are linked to cash. If you don't want to do the all cash method, if you don't want to carry around those $100 bills, make sure that you are using it. And again, they estimate 12 to 18%. And the justification for this is rewards. When you start looking at rewards, if you are not paying your card off full every single month, you are paying an exorbitant amount of fees for that card in the amount of interest you're paying if you're not paying it off in your entirety, meaning the rewards that you're getting do not outweigh the money that you're putting out for interest. Consider even the physical cash for the whole entire mental aspect. when you're paying with actual cash, when you're opening your wallet or your purse and you're giving out those, $20 bills, it is an entirely different feeling. And if you've never done it before, I really challenge you with trying it, seeing what it feels like. Next time you're at a bank, credit union, ATM, take out $100, $150, whatever you budget for groceries, try paying for it in cash. You'll notice yourself spending less. You'll be stuck a lot more to that shopping list, making sure that you're not overspending, making sure you're not impulse purchasing. And when you get to the register, if you don't have enough money, guess what? Old school way, you got to put stuff back. You can't buy it if you can't afford it. It's kind of crazy. Goes right back to living within your means. If you're budgeting, $200 a week for groceries, if you do not have, or if you spend more than $200, unfortunately, you have to put things back, which is kind of crazy. And when we start looking for extra income, working extra hours, finding a side gig, a side hustle, 54% of Americans are doing something that is some sort of passive or semi-passive income, working on some sort of side hustle. This could be freelance, this could be tutoring, this could be making things, selling things. This could also be YouTube. Me personally, this is something that I love to do, bringing the financial education and literacy to you guys. So if you do find some value in it, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Now, it is saying that roughly 16% of Americans work as a side gig to supplement their primary income or even their entire income, which is kind of crazy. Now, when it comes to buying things, and this is one part that I'm really done, that I love doing and I really focus on, buying secondhand, looking at minimalism, even buying used. When it comes to vehicles, we do not buy new vehicles. The depreciation is really out of hand. Purchasing something that is gently used, and for a lot of things that are completely brand new. There are a ton of things on the market, whether it's Facebook, there's a lot of places where you can buy things, and some of those, especially that are kind of out of the ordinary, when I think of like snow bibs, ice skates, roller skates, stuff like that, that are either gently used or for a lot of people, not even used at all, you can find them at a 50, 60, 70% discount versus buying them brand new, which is absolutely kind of crazy. Now, when it comes to thinking of one of the biggest costs, childcare. If you are and have, you and your spouse, a significant other, whatever it may be, having possibly one person stay at home. We have seen this work in a lot of relationships where if you're paying $100, $150 for some places, depending where you live, for childcare, is it beneficial to stay home with your kid? Is it beneficial, to really swap some of the babysitting costs or some of the daycare costs with someone to really stay home, which is kind of crazy. When you start looking at infant care in California, they estimate $17,000 to $20,000 a year just for regular care. So if you're not making well above that, you might want to think about it, really staying home and staying with the child, regardless of what you do. Now, of course, where can we lower money? Where can we lower expenses? One of the big ones, utility bills. If you are, again, kind of thinking to my grandparents, turning off the lights, using energy efficient appliances, adjusting the thermostat even a couple degrees can save up to 30% on your energy costs, which is kind of crazy. And they're saying that would save around $3,200 annually on taxes if you're doing these upgrades for energy efficiency, really making a big difference. And the final one I'm going to leave you is looking for things that are free. There are a ton of things probably in your community, within even the bigger, possibly the county, that they offer for free. Entertainment doesn't have to be super expensive. You can either find it discounted or you can find it for free. We do a lot of utilization with parks. We use libraries all the time. Community events in a lot of places are free. At-home movie nights. Even here we have a park that's like a public park that is run by the county. They show movies every single weekend. It's really cool. It's almost like a drive-in, which it's a little bit further distance, but you can set up your chairs, you can set up entertainment, and you can absolutely have a ton of fun. And before we go, saving for retirement. With one income, even if you have a low income, saving for retirement is absolutely a requirement. When we think of the goal of saving for retirement, it is 15% of your income. If you can survive on 85% of your income, 15% goes straight into the retirement planning, and it happens automatically into the 401k contributions into retirement accounts. You will be set for your entire life. I've talked to some individuals, 18 years old, now looking at 28. So in the last course of 10 years, saved about $150,000 in the S&P 500. And you know what? Well on track to be a multimillionaire by the time you get to retirement. The earlier you can save, if you can start saving 15% when you're 18 years of age, by the time you hit 65, I guarantee there is going to be millions of dollars in that plan if you're making the regular contributions. When you move jobs, you get a little bit of pay raise, keep it at 15%. You get that big promotion, you're up to 6 figures, keep it at 15%. I cannot stress enough with the retirement plans, 401ks, IRAs, HSAs, dividends, everything that builds and accumulates with compounding interest is going to be a game changer for the rest of your life. That's right, guys. So that's going to do it for today's video. Some frugal strategies to survive on one income or low income. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.